They hired an offensive line coach, Chris Strausser, kind of under the radar a little bit as the week's gone along. There's been a lot of moves around the NFL. The Texans, everybody, I think once you got over the OC and the DC, everybody kind of moved on Sean, but
Mm-hmm.
he'd been the O-line coach for the Colts the last 4 seasons. They had one of the best O-lines in the NFL the first 2 seasons he was there, but then regressed his third year when left tackle Anthony Costanzo retired. This past year, the Colts allowed 60 sacks, which was the second most in the league. So that scared me when I read that stat. And that's the second most sacks allowed in Colts history. Texans, remember, they only gave up 38 sacks this past season, 10th best in the league. Colts rookie left tackle Bernard Raymond had a 71 pass block grade, which was second among 9 rookie starting tackles this year. So that was part of it, is they were having a sort of rotating deal at left tackle before Bernard Raymond took over the job and solidified him a little bit. Second half of the year, they were definitely better the second half of the year, but it's important to know, Sean, that even though their O-line struggled early, they were 10th in the NFL in pass blocking the second half of last year. So I think you could confuse things if you start looking at, how the Colts offensive line was his first 2 years and there being a regression, but there were factors like Costanzo and this rookie tackle for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it's never just one thing. Every coach, regardless, position coach, head coach, coordinator, doesn't matter in football or even what sport. I mean, they're going to tell you the same thing, in every sport. Like, you're only as good as your players too. And I would just be interested to know, like, how many of those sacks, you said 60 sacks given up by Indianapolis's offensive line. How many of those were actually on Matt Ryan and some of the other quarterbacks that they employed?
Yeah, they said 41 of them were on the offensive line. 19 of them were on the quarterbacks from what I remember reading about that.
And that's fair. I mean, I'm glad somebody looked at that. And then I'll even say this, 35 years of coaching experience. I don't know that he's been in the NFL, but maybe for about half of that time, he's got a lot of college experience with Mazzell, does Chris Strausser. But that was an interesting hire for me because before they brought him in, the Texans were so young across the board.
You're listening to Houston Sports Talk.